Hello and welcome to this thought for the day. The 11th of September is the day we give thanks to God for the life of Mother Esther, founder of the Community of the Holy Name. When I think of her, I also think of a visit I made some time back to the Melbourne Museum, where I was confronted by a reconstruction of a couple of 19th century cottages that once existed in La Trobe Street. Those who could afford to pay rent lived in tiny two-room hovels, no bigger than a caravan. Visitors to the exhibition could walk inside and experience the simplicity of life of many in those days. I could only imagine what circumstances faced the poor in the last decade of the 19th century when, as they say, the gold had run out. This was the reality that confronted Emma Silcock when she arrived from England in 1888. Emma had been a novice in an Anglican religious order. She took the name Esther. Recovering from an accident, her doctors suggested a time of recovery in warmer climes. Esther chose Melbourne because she had relatives here. Soon after she arrived, she began working with the mission to the streets and lanes of Melbourne. Bishop James Morehouse challenged the clergy of three inner-city parishes, St Paul's, St Peter's and St John's, La Trobe Street, to begin a mission to the impoverished people of the city. A committee under the leadership of Canon Handfield, vicar of St Peter's, engaged Esther to lead the mission. In an article in the Melbourne Anglican, John W. Stewart wrote, "As the community continued to grow, more work was undertaken. There were no sickness benefits, no dole, and pensions for the aged did not exist. Sister Esther saw the great need. A less courageous person may have felt it all too much, but not Esther. The sisters were to get up at 5 a.m. and, with the help of a couple of scouts with a wheelbarrow, would go to the city market to buy meat and vegetables. This was made into soup and given to over 400 men, women and children. There would be a policeman at the front door and another at the back door to make sure that no one ran around for a second helping." Esther initially undertook the work as a deaconess, but still felt deeply a vocation to the religious life. She was joined by two others, Ellen and Christina, and their work in the slums of inner Melbourne grew until the building became inadequate to cope with the demand. Plans were made for a country retreat for fallen and friendless women. This project came to fruition as the Mercy House at Cheltenham. In 1894, Esther was professed as a religious sister, and with her two helpers and others, they became the nucleus of the Community of the Holy Name. The sisters, under the leadership of Mother Esther, continued their tireless work among the underprivileged of Melbourne, and without trivialising their efforts, I need to skip to 1929 and a city under the grip of depression. By this time, there were 25 sisters visiting the Women's Hospital, Pentridge Prison, supporting people appearing in court and doing probation work, as well as assisting desperate men to find what scarce work there was. Mother Esther fell ill in 1931, and shortly after, she died. Her inspiration continued to empower the work of the mission, which continued to expand. We celebrated Mother Esther at Mass on Friday morning, the 11th of September. And as we did so, people were lining up at the Lazarus Centre for breakfast. And later, students would come to collect meals prepared in the parliamentary kitchens and packaged and distributed by Ree and her team of volunteers. Assistance as vital now as ever. All who work among and support and care for people facing homelessness and poverty can take great encouragement from the faithfulness and the courage of Mother Esther and her companions.